Here we are on this beautiful, foggy, frosty day in the South Island of New Zealand. And a lot of people say, oh, it's a foggy day or a cloudy day or a rainy day. I said, no, every day's a sunny day above the clouds. It just depends on where you're looking at it from. And yes, it is foggy, and this fog won't last for long. It will eventually disappear and it'll be back to being a sunny day. But the interesting thing about this fog is that I can probably only see about 50 meters ahead of me, and beyond that I can't see anything. But if I walk another 50 meters, then I can see the next 50 meters. And then I have to walk the next 50 meters to see the next 50 meters. So to see all the way out there in kilometers into the distance, I have to take it 50 meters at a time. And I guess that's what life is. Sometimes you don't really know where you're going in your life through the fog, but if you stay still, you never see anything more than what you see now. And to move forward with the life, you have to move 50 meters ahead to see the next 50 meters. Now, in my profession, where I help people transition from having a job they don't like into a career that they love in the health, wellness, exercise, fitness profession, I ask people when they start, what are you passionate about? They say, look, I'm really passionate about fitness and health and well-being, or strength training, or sports conditioning, or sport, somewhere in that physicality of the exercise profession. And I say, okay, fantastic. So what are your long-term goals? What do you want to do? And they say, look, I don't really know. What are your medium-term goals? Well, I don't really know that either. I'm not really sure, never really thought about it. And I guess from their eyes, they're looking into the direction of health and fitness or sport or exercise, but they're looking into the fog. They don't really know what their long-term destination is. And you would have heard of the saying, life isn't about a destination, it's about a journey. But on that journey, you have to make sure you have the right compass to ensure that you're going in the right direction. So life isn't just about a destination, it's about a compass, it's about a direction. And if you get in the right direction, you have the right journey and the right experience. And if you move and take action on that, you move through the fog going in the right direction to find the next opportunity, the next bridge to cross to get you to the next 50 meters, to the next 50 meters, to the next 50 meters. For example, when I started in this wonderful exercise profession, I was only 17 and I loved going to the gym. That's all I really loved. After school, I'd go to the gym, end up getting a job at the gym. And I thought, when I was going to the gym to work out, I said, if I'm going to go to the gym all the time, I might as well get paid to go. So when I was leaving school, making that critical decision, what are you going to do with your life? Like, how would you know what you're going to do with your life when you're only 17, completely inexperienced, and you have to come up with a decision that's going to factor your entire life? Well, you're not going to know that. But what I did know at that particular time, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, I knew the only thing that I was passionate about was health and fitness and training and sport. And I had the great opportunity, I suppose, that I had a discussion with one of my uncles, my Uncle Alan, and he says, Kman, do what you love, you never have to work another day in your life. So when I left school, I went into the exercise profession. So I went and did a degree in human movement studies, having no idea what I was going to do with it. And remember, that was back in the 80s, some 39 years ago. So the opportunities weren't there as they are today. Today there's big, huge gyms and franchises of gyms and 24-hour gyms and boot camps and online fitness businesses, and some personal training didn't exist back then. So I didn't know what I wanted to do, and there weren't really any opportunities. There weren't really jobs. They called the degree I did, Human Movement Studies, the Mickey Mouse degree. That was its reputation. It means you got a degree, but you didn't actually have a profession. You didn't get a job out of it. You ended up became a real estate agent after it. And most of the people in my class went on to become PE teachers because that was the only job available. And I was very close to doing that, but my life got intervened, fortunately for me, that steered me into a different path. So even though back then, if you asked me when I was 17 or 18 doing my degree, what are you going to do with this degree, it would be like me looking into the fog. I says, I have no idea. But what I do know is that if you do what you love, you find a way to make a living out of it. If you do what you're passionate about, you find a way to make a profit out of it. Even though back in the 80s, the early 80s, through the fog, there wasn't much opportunity out there because there wasn't really a personal training profession. There weren't big gyms. And about back then, there were more bodybuilding gyms, and aerobics was starting to take into the trend and the fashion at the time. So even though you don't know what you want to do in the future, as long as you find your compass, as long as you find your lane, as long as you find your direction, which is your passion, and maybe your purpose, means the people you want to help. And since then, in that 39 years in my career, I've opened up and started from scratch 15 different fitness businesses. Now, if you asked me back then about those fitness businesses, they weren't planned because they were too far in the distance for me to plan it. I couldn't see that opportunity. I was one of the first personal trainers in Australia. Well, that didn't exist, and I didn't see that far into the future because it didn't exist. All I could see was the next 50 metres. So the first 50 metres for me is to finish my degree and getting a part-time job in a gym. So I could see a part-time job in a gym. So I moved 50 metres and that became a full-time job in a gym. And then I moved another 50 metres, and then I realised that strength training was my passion, and there was a need for implementing strength training for elite athletes. So the next 50 metres says, hey, I can see this opportunity, which I couldn't see 150 metres back. I can see this opportunity that if I can take strength training and make it specialist to sports conditioning and become a sports and strength and conditioning specialist. So I started my first fitness business called Sports Elite. So that was that 50 metres. And then that 50 metres went to the next 50 metres, to my next opportunity, to my next opportunity, to the next bridge I had to cross. But I had to keep moving forward, following my compass, following my passion, following my purpose, following my direction. And I had to keep moving, because if I stop moving, I will never get to see the next opportunity. I'll never get to come across the next bridge of opportunity for me. So you've got to keep moving forward. If you keep moving forward, you eventually get through the fog to the next chance, the next idea, the next opportunity. And making sure that you follow your compass, that opportunity will fit into your values, into your purpose, into your mission, into your vision. So keep moving forward. And in that 39 years, yes, I've started many fitness businesses that I've been truly passionate about, and some of them became super successful, some of them have been averagely successful, and some of them have not been so successful. But the success of each one have been the same because they are both meaningful to me and fulfilled my values. So if you ever ask me which is my most successful business, well, you can measure it by the dollar value, by the turnover, but I measure it by the satisfaction value of, yes, I truly feel proud about the business that I started. So neither of those businesses were more important than the others because they were in my lane, they were on my compass, they were in my direction, and I kept moving forward. So don't wait to know what your long-term goals before you get started, because you'd never get started because you'd be standing here waiting for the fog to lift. And in life, the fog's always there. We're in a very noisy, cluttered world these days, and sometimes to get through the noise, you've got to move forward to the noise to leave that noise behind. So if there's this beep, 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 all this noise, people in your ear, life in your ear, social media in the ear, but if you keep moving forward, that noise will twinkle down and you'll be so far ahead of everyone else. You'll be so busy achieving your goals that you didn't even know you had previously because you move forward. Now, some people do have that clear vision at the start, and that's perfectly fine. I'm talking about the people who are not quite sure. And if you speak to any experienced person or the biography of any successful people in life and you read them, you find that some of those, a lot of the things they achieved weren't planned at the start, but they came across them by moving forward in the right direction. And if you keep moving forward, you keep getting more experience, you keep getting more knowledge, you keep getting more wisdom, and you keep getting more insight into life and what is meaningful to you. My life now is very, very different to what it was, many decades ago. Because many decades ago, I was this personal trainer living on the beach of the Gold Coast with the sunshine and all that bit, and the body beautiful, and the personal trainer walking down the beach and all that bit. And now look where I am many decades later, I'm out in here in farming territory, and the field with the fog and the frost and sometimes the snow and the cold is a completely different life that I have now that I had back then. And if you asked me back then, would you be living not in Australia but in New Zealand, not on the beach but in the snow, would you be doing that? And if you asked me back then, I say, hell no, there's actually no chance in the world will I ever be living in New Zealand in the snow, in the country, on a farm, when I was living on the Gold Coast, on the beach with the sun and the girls and the razzmatazz of the glitzy Gold Coast. There's no way I could even imagine. But what happened, obviously, over the many decades, I kept moving through my fog, my fog, following my compass, following my values, following what's meaningful to me, and combining that with all the experience and wisdom. And where did I find myself? In New Zealand, in the countryside on a farm, surrounded by snow-capped mountains. And that's not for everybody, but it is for me at this stage in my life, as it wasn't for me when I was 18, 19 years of age. So keep moving through your fog, keep following your compass, follow your purpose, and live your life according to your values. And no matter where you end up, it will be successful, and most importantly, you will be happy living the life that you want to live, achieving the goals that are meaningful to you with the people that you care about. See you in the next Kmax.